Welcome to Canvas Projects, a virtual program offering from the Pflugerville Public Library. I'm Meg Miller, an Adult Services Librarian, here with another fun project geared to ages 12 and up for you to complete. Those who registered through the library calendar can pick up their material supply kits, and for everyone else watching, we hope you give these techniques a try. This month's project is actually a melted wax canvas, so let's start with a look at the supplies being provided. And I did just notice that on our tag here it says an 11 by 14 canvas, but everyone did get a 9 by 12 canvas, and I'm actually going to go ahead and use a smaller 8 by 10 canvas for purposes of the video. I wanted to make sure we had all the 9 by 12 canvases going out in kits, so we did a little bit more because this canvas project kind of kicks off our summer reading. We hope if you're local and you're watching this close to real time that you're thinking of attending our Maker Fest event that will happen Saturday, June 6th. Or the week before our Maker Market event. So in addition to the canvas panel that comes in the kit, we have just some generic wax crayons. These are 6 colors in here. So you'll have your crayons. You could do this with other crayons that you have around that are just kind of generic or broken. And then we did provide a little sharpener for our crayons. Because what we want to do is we want to melt wax onto our canvas. And we could use the crayons themselves and really draw on a heavy layer and then melt. But I am going to go with getting little pieces of the crayon, shaved little shavings, and laying those out across the canvas. So to that end, I am going to remove the paper from these crayons. It's not the easiest thing in the world. You just kind of find the edge of that wrapper. I found with these particular ones, if I got most of the crayon pulled, then I could remove that wrapper. You may decide to leave a portion because as you're sharpening, if you're just grabbing the wax, that wax is going to color your fingers a little bit. So one of the idea behind this is summer. This is Central Texas. That sun out there is going to be very warm. The most easiest, although you'd have to find a particular day that was warm enough, that was sunny enough in order to put out and melt the wax on your canvas. You'd be able to just kind of set it out anywhere. I'd recommend putting a piece of paper or maybe a tray with some aluminum foil on it underneath so that any wax near the edges wouldn't mess up whatever you've set it down on. We could also put this, if you're one of our adult project doers, you've got a car on a metal tray in the front of the car. We've all seen those videos where they either cook an egg or cook some cookie dough, make cookies, bake cookies on the top of your car or inside underneath that window, because that glass will provide kind of more for that heat to gather. So you see I'm just doing some shavings of this particular crayon, and I'm going to be very non-specific with this design. Once we do this, I'll show you a version that was a little bit more specific. And I get some larger shavings, but I can definitely take those and break them down into smaller pieces if I wanted to. So there's some red, or I'm sorry, purple. I should have known, purple being my top color choice here. I'm going to go with a little bit of orange next. You could take your little sharpener and you could actually get some little containers and pre-shave the crayon, so you've really got more of a resource to kind of build with and be a little bit more intentional with the way that you're putting your wax onto the canvas. So these almost look like little petals, some of those shavings, so I could do that. And then, so I did that previous, so here's a little cup. I've got some of the green in there, and I could really kind of take that and almost make like plant stems or flower stems and put that there. Come off on this side, doing that, and you see I'm kind of grinding up that wax a little bit. I can do that in the cup itself and just kind of shake it around so I've got a little bit more that I work with there. Now another way, this is being recorded slightly before June, and if you'll think back to those weeks, the weather was not very for something that I could take this outside and lay it out like I really want to get our wax to melt. So I had a couple other options. Now our canvas panels are made of paper and canvas, so if this particular route is the way you go with your project, you want to be very considerate of temperature and time. So for the video today, I do have a convection oven on the table next to me that I am going to use. It's at a very low heat, no more than 200 degrees on the oven. Again, I will need to use a little tray so that I am protecting my equipment from the wax, so I make sure that I don't get the wax on there. And I'm just going to grab that tray right now. So I've got it here. This is just the basic tray from our convection oven. Your canvas panel, in a home oven, your canvas panel, if you had a cookie sheet that was big enough to fit the entire panel, you wouldn't have an issue. Even my 8x10 is just a little bit too big for this particular canvas, so it's actually sitting up above the tray itself. I'm going to give it a little more color before I go ahead and drop it in. And when I put this in the oven, I don't want this in that oven more than 2 or 3 minutes. I'm also not going to walk away. I'm definitely going to keep watch on my project and make sure that I'm not leaving it in too long to where my wax will really become distorted, or my colors will kind of meld together a little too much. So let's get some bigger. There we go. Okay, so opening this directly next to me, my little oven guy here is just at 200 degrees. I did have a thermometer in there to make sure that I wasn't going over. With a home oven, you'll be able to set those temps, and that'll be something fairly easy to do. For another test run with the oven, I did do a little bit more of a rainbow. This is just about cooled off, but I can see that my wax there, I'd likely left it in what I would feel like just a little bit too long. I definitely feel like this is one where I'll add more to the background and take it outside once we get another nice sunny day. I can also take and add some just wax from the crayons themselves. Just adding little accents, kind of following along the lines of where my wax had melted originally. Definitely going to go back over these to lay down, because the wax itself is not going to melt that well, I wouldn't think, in just one layer. You may recall leaving old projects out, maybe things that had crayon or another wax on them, and then melting and kind of all blending together. Just following these lines around the color, and I can come and do that for all of our different ones, while also keeping track of the oven to my right, making sure that I'm not letting that wax melt in there a little too much, or that my canvas panel might become too hot and catch on fire, which is very much what we don't want. This is not something you'll walk away from, which is why it was really designed with that Central Texas summer in mind, so that we lay all of our layers on here, take it outside, set it out there, enjoy. That you can definitely leave and not really think about, come back later and see what that sun has really done to your canvas. Where's my orange? There's my orange. Just kind of coming in through here. Now I could do this, I'm doing the same colors around the colors that they are. I could have done opposite, so I could have done the green on the orange or something like that. just to get a little bit more. But I didn't want to blend the colors too much because in my original, where again I didn't have the kind of heat I needed, I was attempting to use a heat gun, and I was getting a lot of like this here where I blended a little too much. I was getting pieces of the wax moving farther off of the canvas than I really wanted. So that was using a hairdryer or a heat gun would give you the heat that you'd need, but that air that comes off the device is going to move your wax around perhaps in a way that you don't really like. So again, the goal for this one is to put your wax on your canvas and take it outside, leave it sitting in the sun, and really get that melting going on. So with this one, after just a little minute or two, I can see there that little spot is very melted. These guys have melted flat into my canvas where my smaller pieces are. And taking this out now, I'm not getting the same kind of areas like there on the yellow where that wax has really seeped into the canvas. So I like this. I'm going to let this cool flat. I can tell that it's a little bit popped up from being in the oven, but I'm going to let it cool flat. I could do an extra layer. Again, another minute or two max. And I don't want to touch because if the wax is still a little bit fluid right now, and I wouldn't want it to come away. So big reminders for this one: lay your layers out. Set it out in the sun, give it some time. In the sun, you're going to need at least 10 to 15 minutes in a very low heat oven, 150 degrees, 200 degrees max. You're really only going to need maybe 2 or 3 minutes, depending on how thick your wax shavings are. As always, we hope you enjoyed this project. We'd love to see any completed projects that you have, and we look forward to the next Canvas projects. Thanks for watching.